Hey y'all, and welcome to Stivers Homestead. Today I want to talk about a topic that I think we've all been thinking, but it's really starting to come to light. And that is Homestead dying? Is it going away? Where did all the self-sufficient go-getters in 2020 go away? Where do they go? And is it a sign of what's to come? Or is it something that we can bring back? Whew, it is cold. The snow has melted, but it is getting very, very chilly around here. So if you're new around here, my name's Zach, and this is Stivers Homestead. We started YouTubing homesteading in January 2019. We really picked the right time to start going. And that has a lot of justification on what I'm about to talk about in this video. So January 2019, the homesteading movement felt like it had already started. It was already getting really big. There were YouTube content creators absolutely everywhere. I think we did like 7 or 8 homesteading events in 2019, small, large, they were just popping up everywhere. There were meet and greets that were just happening all across the country. And it was so beautiful to see. 2020 then comes into play, and we all know what happened in 2020. And then it seemed like the world opened their eyes to homesteading, and then they came to YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, etc. to try to learn how to be self-sufficient. You know, the amount of people doing sourdough starters, learning how to make bread, getting some backyard chickens, starting their small gardens. It was such a beautiful sight to see. People were starting to learn how to grow their own food, how to be self-sufficient, in an era where they couldn't get their hands on everything that they used to be able to. So they're like, I'm gonna do it myself. Now it's 2025. What happened? So when that boom was going on, I mean, we had everyone, including ourselves, showing people how to think differently. You know, this isn't your great-grandfather's farm life where you have to have a bunch of head of cattle, you have to have, 300, 400 plus acres to be able to do this. It was teaching people how to literally do it on their balconies, their backyards, through social media, through their scare of what they could and could not get at the grocery store, and just watching everyone do this together. It felt like there was such a large community that was really helping each other, and we were all one. And it felt like that was the peak of when homesteading really hit. I'm talking today though because it does seem like things have ventured elsewhere, but there's a lot of reasons why, and I think that's what might surprise you in this video. So we kind of have to break this out into 2 separate groups, right? We have to have it for the people that were watching YouTubers and watching Facebook people and TikTokers that were doing homesteading. So the ones that were just getting into it, the ones that were truly trying to learn. And then we have to talk to it from the side of the content creators and what happened there. So it's two very different paths on why on your For You page and such maybe isn't as much homesteading or farm related activities. So let's start with the viewer. The viewer that isn't a content creator but really had the urge to want to start growing their own food and be a little bit more self-sufficient and start dabbling into homesteading. So as the years have gone on since 2020, I would say the first situation is just time, right? Time commitment of actually doing homesteading is something that you don't understand until you actually do it. Raising animals specifically consumes a lot of your time. Somebody has to feed them, right? Every day somebody has to feed them, so that cuts down on vacations. Well, in 2020 and stuff, nobody was really going anywhere, so it wasn't a big deal. Everybody wanted to be home. But now that we sit here in 2025, vacations are as high as they've ever been. We live only about an hour and a half from Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and it's like our closest big town, and we love going there. And I can tell you that guineas. I can tell you that it is upticking very, very high in that area. 1 minute. All right. Don't mind them making noise. I just can't have them right on the mic because that's where all that y'all will hear. So by what I mean by Gatlinburg's really got an uptake is it is insane how many people are going to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge these days. I've gone there my whole life, and this is the busiest I've ever seen it at any time. Thankfully, we homeschool, so we just go when everybody else is in school, and it's not so bad. But that being said, time constraints. Time constraints are one of the top reasons I think that homesteading has lost some of its popularity. As people really not understanding and not willing to fully have that much of a commitment to their time, to just be stuck at the house. Another extremely top piece of this is, I think, economics, our financial situation that we are all facing. People could barely put food on their table. People could barely buy the gas to get them to work over these past several years. And homesteading's not cheap. This life is not cheap. You know, we might all look poor and all this stuff, but it's because all of our money is going into the homestead. When it comes to starting with buying a few livestock, you know, getting yourself some animals, they're not cheap. Feed's not cheap. Housing's not cheap, you know, for your animals, barns, DIY work, fencing, whether it be electrical or permanent. And then the day-to-day, the feed, having to pay the feed bill to feed all of these animals is not cheap either. You go to the garden, you know, you're putting money into the soil, you're putting money into seeds, you put money into canning gear, jars, all that stuff. A lot of your excess money is going into these things that you need to get started up. Now, once you have it, you're really just kind of looking at your feed bill, still not cheap. But I think it was breaking a lot of people's pocketbook because they only had enough money to pay their bills, if they even had enough money to pay their bills, and then try to get just the minimal of groceries to put on the table to feed their family. So I think as our economy continued to decline over these past 4 years, people were having to make hard choices. And unfortunately at that time, to a lot of people, I think homesteading felt like a want and not a need during those times. And this next point is actually going to transition us from the viewer to the content creator, because I do put a lot on us too, the content creator. I think another factor for the viewer that made them stop wanting to do so much homesteading was a situation of social media pressure. So I don't like Instagram. It is absolutely my least favorite social media platform there is. I don't think I've ever seen a faker social media app. Like when it comes to what people are trying to be or what they're showing, it is the fakest app I've ever seen in my life when it comes to us as people posting, presenting something that's not accurate. So I think when these new homesteaders, these new mini farmers, micro farmers, we're getting out there, they're starting to follow, especially the younger age. They're following a lot of people that maybe is closer to their age. And then these people are very good at what they do when it comes to presenting their content. And it looks really good on film. And so then that person that's beginning or starting out, if they're failing or it's not looking as good or it's not going as smooth as maybe what this long drawn out post was saying about how thankful and blessed and grateful they are of all this and not showing any of the negative, I think that put pressure on the newbie to see, I'm not cut out for this. And that three things, so economy, time, and then social media pressure are, I think, the top three reasons why the viewer from 2020 that was so interested in self-sufficiency has maybe moved on to something else and stopped the homesteading part. So that then rolls us into the content creators. I being one of them, Jen and I. This is definitely something that we are guilty of, and something that we're self-aware enough to say, you know what, let's make some changes for 2025. Let's try to get people excited again. So let's talk about some of those things that happened. I can really give you good detail from my experience, and I can tell you from what I saw from other content creators that were kind of all of us in the same community, and just kind of the trends of what was happening. So let's start. For us specifically, we started in 2019. We're getting our feet wet. We're on lives every night. We're just trying to get our name out there and get people to know who we are. 2019, we grew really, really fast. Like for a first year content creator, it was amazing. I mean, it was absolutely amazing how quick it caught on. Jen and I were like, you know what? I think we got something here. Like this is really going well. And then 2020 hits and we've already got a year under our belt. And then it just, that's when everything blew up like we had previously talked about, because we had such a new audience coming into the homesteading group, and there was plenty of us for them to choose from. We were just lucky enough to be one of those that kind of stood out, and we're so thankful for that because it really changed the direction of our lives. This is when the negative starts for us and for a lot of other content creators. It starts by showing just everything you're doing, trying to come up with DIY projects to help people out, to be like, you can do this on your balcony. This is what I would do. Let's grow vertical. Or, you know, like if you don't have a lot of money, I built pallet trusses. Pallet, well, I cannot spell that word out. trestles. Oh my goodness, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I put 2 pallets in a triangle and we put chicken wire over it, and I put a flower box on the bottom so then you could grow cucumbers or stuff like that up and over these pallets. And it was trellis. There it is, trellis. Thank you for whoever was yelling at the TV. Thank you, I heard you. Pallet trellises. And so it was those creative ideas that we were all doing to try to figure out how can we make this accessible to everyone. My cattle panel greenhouse, you know, that's something that is one of our top viewed videos that we've ever had. It's those ways to come up with stuff that makes it affordable for people to do this instead of having to go buy a $12,000 high tunnel or having to buy expensive materials and stuff like that. That's how it started. Then we started getting paid, and it was like, whoa, okay. And I'm talking content creators as a whole, not just us. And it's like, oh, this money's nice. I get paid more when I'm giving the viewer what they want, when I'm getting more views, right? When I'm getting more views, longer duration of them watching, the ads are popping. I, as the content creator, am now getting rewarded for, you know, those couple years or year or so that you're not monetized and you're just trying to get there. But then you start getting a little jingle in your pocket, and I think that's when most of us, and we're all kind of guilty of this, changes a little. So what happens when you start getting good money from certain videos? You niche yourself. And this is something that is very common in YouTube. When, let's say, garden's your thing. Like, let's say it seemed to be that's what the viewers were coming to hit. Those videos are the ones that are always getting the great views. You niche yourself to a garden. Say it's livestock, same thing. Say it's more mechanics with barns and stuff and being more of a, easy chicken, being more of a mechanic. Say it's more of the cooking that kicks off. That's when YouTubers started niching themselves, because they're like, well, if I'm not getting any views and I'm not gonna get paid for doing this niche, I'm gonna focus on this niche. And that's how then you all as the viewers started getting this is my garden channel, this is my livestock channel, this is my cooking channel. And that's how that started coming into play and why niches happen in YouTube. That's one thing that we haven't done, but it's also kind of been the downfall of Stivers Homestead, because we didn't niche. We would try to hit all the different things that are hitting. So we would post the different types of videos that we're seeing across YouTube that are starting to hit. And so we would just try to throw that into our channel. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't like that because they don't know who to direct to your channel, because they're not exactly sure what you're gonna be posting on a daily basis. But that became downfall number 1. We started niching ourselves because that's what was getting the views, because we need to get paid for the efforts that we're doing. And I need to make it very clear, YouTubers and every content creator absolutely deserves to be paid. The camera that I'm talking to you on, we paid for. The editing software, we paid for. All the content and all the work that a creator does to give you the video that you're seeing on your TV costs a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of time. So I'm not downing anyone, including ourselves, for trying to go get that bag, because they deserve the money. But that kind of declined the homesteading community. And what I mean by that is then sponsors came into play. Oh my goodness, if I could tell you all how many sponsors are in our inbox on a daily basis. Half of them are fake. The other half, it's crazy. There's so much going on in there that we just, basically ignore all of them. We do that for several reasons. We've tried to always not have a bunch of sponsors and do sponsored videos, because one, YouTube shoots you all a lot of ads as it is. It's a YouTube placed ad. They're throwing a lot in front of your screen just to watch our video, and we want you to watch it all anyway. So we don't want to add then another hour sponsored ad, 1-2 minutes in the middle of this, and then just get you off our video. Basically, we just didn't want to do that. So we've always tried to just have like 3-ish primary sponsors, if one would say. Like you all probably know them. It's Hoss Tools, Greenstock, Premier One, which Premier One and us, because we have permanent fencing, we don't use a lot of the stuff anymore. Still love the company, but like Hoss Tools, Greenstock, and then Survival Seeds. They are like just awesome people, awesome companies that we really love and enjoy. And so those have just kind of been our primaries, but they fit well into our channel and on the things that we do. Unfortunately, not a lot of creators did that. A lot of creators took every offer they got, and every video is riddled with sponsors. that in return is neglecting the viewer from watching homesteading channels because it's starting to look like all as a whole instead of just a few creators. It hurt. It did. And then the primary two things that I think that has slowed down the content creator side of homesteading is one, the interest. I think we had a lot of content creators that had the great personality, was able to speak really well, had the great ideas, was showing this stuff, but I don't think homesteading was really their passion. You know what I mean? I think it just happened to hit on YouTube and they're like, well, I got to keep going because now I'm making money. And then as years went on, it's like, I'm not even enjoying what I'm doing anymore because I don't want a homestead. I'm just getting the views on YouTube. So I think that was factor one on the decline of content creators and homesteading. And then the second piece of that is, I think, is that we stopped getting the views. Not everyone, right? Like there's a handful that are still getting great views that are out there, and they're doing fantastic. Some of them are friends of ours, and we are so happy for them. But when the views start declining, the creator starts declining, and that's all on the creator. Like only the creator can be to blame for that. You have to look yourself in the mirror and figure out why that happened before you can say, well, this or that or whatever. When the payments start getting lower and lower and they turn into almost nothing, that's when it's hard to say, okay, I'm going to rejuvenate myself to get on my feet and do this again. So that's another reason for the decline of homestead content creators. All this being said, the initial question at the beginning of this, is homesteading dying? And that is an astounding no. Homesteading is not dying. Homesteading didn't start in 2020. Homesteading's been going on forever, and it's going to continue to go on forever. So even though we may not be seeing it so much on social media, look around, look at your neighbors, go drive out in rural America. People are homesteading everywhere. The surge is still there. I like to think that they came on to YouTube and TikTok and Facebook to learn. Now they've got it and they're doing it on their own. So that's what makes me super excited for the future, is knowing that now it's almost like we had all these little babies that they've got 5 years under their belt now. They don't need YouTube as much. They're gonna learn by their experiences. They've got enough under their belt to figure out how to do this themselves. And that is the most proudest moment I think that I have as a content creator, knowing that maybe, just maybe, one of those people that doesn't watch YouTube anymore, we helped train to get them there. And that is the beautiful part. What can we do to continue to move forward, to continue to give maybe a drive back up in social media for homesteading? That's on all of us, and that's what we're gonna talk about next. We just need to think back to 2020. What gave people that drive? What gave people that excitement? Let's start talking about it again. Let's start showing it again. Let's start bringing happiness back into homesteading, because I know that is the number one thing that is my goal for 2025, is to make sure that I stay happy on this homestead, and I'm still wanting to do this every day with a full heart and absolutely all of it. So if we're showing that more and we're talking about it more, we may see an increase in viewership again. We may see an increase of excited young content creators coming to all the different social media platforms to show you their brand new homestead they just bought, that bare land they just bought, and go on their homesteading journey too. There's always been plenty of room in the pond for everyone to grab that camera and start being a content creator. So let's get it back going again. Let's get that community going again, right? Like, let's grow it together. Let's do it together, and let's lift each other up. Homesteading is not dead. It is not dying. It will never go anywhere, but it is up to us to continue to try to preach it to the new generation and wait patiently for them to come to us. It'll happen again, so let's keep it rolling. So tell me down in the comment, what are some of your thoughts on over the past 5 years and just homesteading in general? Is it dying? Is it still thriving like I say it is? What do you think happened on social media? Why do you think there was a decline of content creators and viewership around the topic of homesteading? Let me know. I'm so interested in your thoughts, and I can't wait to talk to y'all down there. We'll see y'all on the next one.